back, everyone, to Dark Dive, the strange, hidden, and untold. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Vera. And I gotta say, Kevin, I'm already a little bit intrigued, a little bit scared about what you've got for us today. The title you teased me with, The Sky's Secret Weapon? Come on.
Oh, you know me, Vera. I love a good dive into the weird and the wonderful, especially when it involves, secret government projects and the sky. So today we're going way, way up north to the Alaskan wilderness to talk about a facility that has become, let's just say, the epicenter of some very enduring conspiracy theories.
Okay, Alaska, mysterious facility. I'm already picturing something out of an X-Files episode. What are we talking about here?
We are talking about HAARP. That's HAARP. Officially, it's the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. But, for many, many people, it's basically seen as a secret government weapon, a weather control machine, a mind control device, even something that can trigger earthquakes.
Wait. Hold on. So, people actually believe there's a facility in Alaska that can just mess with the weather? Like make it rain on demand or stop hurricanes? That sounds, I don't know, a little bit like a Bond villain plot, doesn't it?
Well, exactly, but this isn't just a fringe idea floating around. These claims have actually gained quite a bit of traction over the years, especially whenever there's a major natural disaster, an earthquake, a hurricane. Somebody always seems to point a finger at HAARP.
Huh. Okay, well, that's certainly intriguing. My skepticism meter is definitely tingling, but I'm also morbidly curious now. What exactly is this HAARP thing then, if it's causing all this fuss?
Okay, so picture this. High above the Alaskan wilderness, right? There's this massive array of 180 radio antennas. It stretches across like 33 acres of really remote land. So, it's pretty imposing looking. And for decades, people have looked at this and thought, aha, this is it. This is where they're cooking up the weather.
33 acres of antennas? Wow, okay, that's a lot of metal. So, are people saying it's like a giant weather-making machine?
Pretty much. The most popular and persistent theory is that HAARP, by heating portions of the ionosphere, that's like a layer of Earth's atmosphere really high up, it can create pressure systems that then influence weather patterns down below where we live, so in the troposphere.
So, they're saying it's like a giant atmospheric microwave that can, I don't know, redirect a hurricane or stop a drought. That sounds ambitious.
Beyond ambitious, Vera. Proponents of this theory claim it's been used to steer hurricanes, create droughts, and get this, even trigger seismic activity. Earthquakes. So, when Hurricane Katrina hit, or the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, even the California wildfires, guess what was often pointed to as a potential culprit? HAARP.
Oh, wow. So, it's not just about weather, it's about like geological events too? Like people are blaming this facility for natural disasters that devastated entire regions? That's a lot.
Oh, it is. And it doesn't stop there. Some even claim it can control minds. Yeah, you heard me. And supposedly, it can even create artificial aurora displays. Remember how the aurora borealis was super visible across much of the northern hemisphere in May and October 2024? Some conspiracy theorists were quick to say, that's HAARP doing its thing.
Mind control? Okay, now that's a new level of science fiction. So, just to be clear, we're talking about an array of radio antennas in Alaska that, according to the whispers, can manipulate weather, cause earthquakes, control people's thoughts, and put on a light show in the sky?
That's the rumor, my friend. That's the rumor. Especially on social media, you see these claims everywhere. Like during recent hurricane seasons, people were absolutely convinced that Hurricanes Helene and Milton, for instance, were intentionally created or steered using this so-called weather modification technology.
That's wild. It's fascinating in a very unsettling way. It's like, I can understand why people might want an explanation for devastating natural events, but to jump to secret weather weapons? That's quite a leap. So, what's the truth then? Or, like, what does science actually say about this HAARP facility? I'm dying to know.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain a little, right? Because the actual scientific explanation is, dare I say, a little less dramatic than mind control and earthquakes, but it's still pretty cool in its own way.
I'm ready. Lay it on me. I feel like it's going to be something incredibly boring after all that buildup, but I'm intrigued.
Well, it's not boring per se, just less supervillainy. So, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP, is actually just a scientific endeavor. Its whole goal is to study the properties and behavior of the ionosphere.
The ionosphere? That's like really high up in the atmosphere, right? Not where like clouds and hurricanes happen.
Exactly, it's way, way up there. We're talking roughly 50 to 400 miles above the Earth's surface. Think of it as like a layer of Earth's atmosphere that's full of charged particles.
Okay, so it's a research facility for a specific, very high up layer of the atmosphere. So, what does it do there? Does it like tickle the ionosphere?
Kinda. It operates by transmitting high frequency radio waves into the ionosphere. And when these waves interact with those charged particles, they create small, localized changes. We're talking small changes.
So, they're zapping the ionosphere with radio waves to study it?
Precisely. These interactions allow scientists to study how the ionosphere behaves. And why does that matter, you might ask? Well, it affects things like radio communications, GPS signals, and other technological systems that we, totally depend on daily.
Oh, so it's like actually helping us understand how our phones work better or how ships navigate? That's surprisingly practical.
Yeah, pretty much. HAARP is actually a small National Science Foundation funded facility. The research they do has practical applications for understanding phenomena like radio blackouts, during solar storms, for improving satellite communications, that kind of thing.
So, wait, all those dramatic claims about controlling weather, triggering earthquakes, mind control, artificial auroras, and the reality is that it's a giant fancy radio transmitter studying like space weather to make our GPS better. That's quite a disconnect.
A massive disconnect, wouldn't you say? It's like you expect a secret weapon from a Bond movie and you get a really high tech atmospheric lab.
I mean, it's impressive technology for sure, but it sounds so mundane compared to the conspiracy theories. No wonder people are confused. So, the military origin thing though, that part was true, right? That's probably where some of the suspicion comes from.
Oh, absolutely. Its origins were in military research, and, you know, an imposing array of antennas in a remote location just looks suspicious. It definitely fueled those early suspicions about its true capabilities. But yeah, today it's operated by the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and honestly, it does open research.
Okay, so we've established it's a giant, fancy radio transmitter for science. But still, the claims persist, right? Like people really believe it can steer hurricanes. So, what's the scientific smackdown on that? Like, why can't it do those things?
Oh, the scientific community has been consistently and overwhelmingly rejecting these claims. Like, it's not even a debate for them. The fundamental problem, Vera, lies in basic physics and atmospheric science. Simply put, there's no interaction. There's no way to control the weather with it.
No interaction? What do you mean?
Well, the HAARP system at its core is a large radio transmitter. And radio waves, they just don't interact significantly with the troposphere.
The troposphere? That's where our weather happens, right? Like where the clouds are, where storms brew?
Exactly. It's the layer right above us, where we live, where all the weather action is. HAARP operates way, way up in the ionosphere. It's like trying to influence what's happening on the surface of a pond by, I don't know, poking a cloud in the sky. It just doesn't connect.
Okay, so it's a fundamental disconnect in terms of where it's operating. But what about the energy? Don't they say it's super powerful?
Ah, the power argument. This is where the scale issue comes into play. And it's pretty crucial to understanding why these theories just don't hold water. Even though the power HAARP radiates is quote unquote very large, it's absolutely minuscule. compared to the massive energy systems that actually drive weather patterns.
So, like a drop in the ocean?
More like a single raindrop in a hurricane. Think about it. A single thunderstorm, just one, can release energy equivalent to hundreds of atomic bombs. We're talking about mind-boggling amounts of energy in natural weather systems.
Wow. That really puts it into perspective. So, HAARP's power, even at its peak, is just not in the same league?
Not even close. Plus, as we discussed, the facility only interacts with particles in the Earth's ionosphere, which is again well above the range where weather formations actually occur. Experts have said the energy involved is so small, and it's concentrated on such a tiny area, that it couldn't possibly affect large-scale weather patterns. It's like trying to move a mountain with a squirt gun.
So, it's a combination of being in the wrong place and having nowhere near enough power. That makes so much sense. It's really just basic physics.
It really is. It comes down to basic atmospheric science and energy scales. When you look at it through a scientific lens, the idea that HAARP could manipulate weather just dissolves. And it's not just me talking about basic physics here. Actual, smart people, real experts have weighed in. Like Stanford University professor Umran Inan. He told Popular Science that these weather control conspiracy theories were completely uninformed.
Ouch. So, straight to the point then.
Yeah, no sugarcoating. He explained that there's absolutely nothing we can do to disturb the Earth's weather systems. And he even said, even though the power HAARP radiates is very large, it's minuscule compared to the actual massive energy systems that drive weather patterns. He really drove home that scale issue we were just talking about.
Right, the squirt gun versus the mountain.
Exactly. And it's not just one guy. Professor Stephen Seams, who's an expert on cloud microphysics at Monash University and co-chair of the World Meteorological Organization's expert team on weather modification, he also rejected any suggestion that HAARP manipulates weather. His words were, HAARP works in the ionosphere, not the troposphere, which again is where weather actually occurs.
So, basically, every expert says the same thing. Wrong place, not enough power. It's just consistently debunked.
Consistently. And it's not just academics. Official agencies have addressed this directly too. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, for example, states quite clearly, no technology exists that can create, destroy, modify, strengthen, or steer hurricanes in any way, shape, or form.
Wow, that's pretty definitive. They're basically saying, nope, not a thing.
Pretty much. They're like, look, HAARP does not and cannot control the weather. And they even address the power thing, saying, while the frequencies are high-powered, it doesn't have nearly enough energy to do anything over the lower 48, let alone specifically target communities for destruction, like one would see in a science fiction movie.
Okay, so even the government agencies are throwing a little shade at the sci-fi movie idea. That's pretty good. It's just so fascinating how, despite all this, these theories just stick around like super glue.
Exactly. It's like, they've been debunked by scientists, by government agencies, yet they just cling on. And that's actually, Vera, where things get really interesting because the appeal of these weather warfare theories, it actually goes a bit deeper than just like a simple misunderstanding of, antenna technology.
Okay, so it's not just about, oh, they don't get what an ionosphere is. There's something else at play here?
Yeah, precisely. It's almost like these theories, they tap into, some really legitimate underlying concerns people have, like worries about government transparency, environmental destruction, the whole militarization of science even.
I can see that. Especially, with the history of military projects and, secrets. That definitely makes people wonder.
Totally. I mean, think about it. HAARP's origins as a military research project, right? Plus its super remote location in Alaska, and then just the sheer scientific complexity of it all, it really creates this perfect storm, if you will, for speculation. If you don't fully understand it and it's got this mysterious past, your mind just fills in the blanks, usually with like the scariest thing it can think of.
Right. It's like, if it's complicated and secret, it must be something nefarious. People love a good conspiracy story, I guess.
Absolutely. And then there's also the historical precedent of like actual weather modification research, like cloud seeding programs.
Oh, yeah, like when they try to make it rain. I've heard of that.
Exactly. Those have been around for decades. So it's not entirely like science fiction that you can try to influence weather. But here's the kicker: those programs operate on vastly different scales and use completely different methods than what HAARP conspiracy theorists imagine. It's like, yeah, we can make it rain a little with chemicals, but no, we're not steering hurricanes with radio waves.
So it's a little bit of truth, but then blown way, way out of proportion. Like taking a tiny spark and saying it's a wildfire.
Nailed it. And these theories, they also reflect broader anxieties about, climate change and extreme weather events. As hurricanes become more intense and weather patterns just get more erratic due to global warming, the search for alternative explanations, it just becomes more appealing.
Oh, that's a good point. It's almost easier to believe in a secret weapon than to confront the really complex, often depressing realities of climate science. Like, oh, it's not us, it's HARP.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way to kind of avoid the overwhelming complexity. And then, going back to what you said earlier, the secrecy that once surrounded HARP during its military phase, that really provided fertile ground for speculation. Even though it's now operated by the University of Alaska and conducts like open research, that legacy of its classified origins just continues to fuel suspicions about hidden capabilities.
So even when they're being transparent now, the damage from the past secrecy is already done. It's like people already have that seed planted. That's actually pretty insightful. It's a blend of old fears, new anxieties, and a sprinkle of truth that gets twisted.
Yeah, exactly. The seed is planted. And this HARP controversy, it actually highlights some really significant challenges for us, like as a society.
Oh, tell me. Beyond just, the weather stuff?
Totally. One big one is like the challenge of communicating complex science to the public, you know? How can researchers better engage with people's concerns while still maintaining like scientific integrity? Because the gap between like what scientists actually understand and what the public perceives, that's where like conspiracy theories just they flourish, right? They thrive in that space.
Oh, absolutely. Like if you don't understand it and it sounds kind of scary, it's easier to just like jump to the most dramatic conclusion. So it's a communication problem.
Yeah, big time. And also it brings up questions about public trust in scientific institutions and even like government agencies. Why do these theories persist so much despite like repeated debunking? What does that tell us about whether people trust the information they're getting?
That's a deep one, Kev. I mean, if people don't trust the sources, it doesn't matter how many times you debunk it, they're just going to find like an alternative truth, right?
Exactly. And then here's another really interesting point. While HARP can't control the weather, what about the broader question of like geoengineering and climate intervention? Like as climate change accelerates, scientists are increasingly studying potential technological interventions.
Ooh, like what? Like actually trying to like manipulate the climate?
Yeah, exactly. Like there's research into solar radiation management or carbon capture technologies. These are like legitimate research areas. And while they're totally different from like weather warfare theories, they do raise like genuine questions about, the wisdom and ethics of large scale environmental manipulation.
Okay. So it's not HARP, but there are other things being explored that do involve like messing with the planet on a big scale. That's that's actually kind of scary in a different way.
Right? It's like, where do we draw the line between unfounded fears and like legitimate concerns about emerging technologies? Like, if HARP can't create hurricanes, fine. But what about future technologies that might have, more significant environmental impacts? How do we even distinguish?
That's the challenge, I guess. Like separating the sci-fi villain stuff from like, hey, maybe we should actually, think about the consequences of this particular scientific pursuit. It's not always black and white.
Precisely. The sky above us, Vera, it really remains this frontier of scientific discovery, environmental concern, and, just human imagination. So while HAARP isn't like the weather warfare weapon of conspiracy theory fame,
Thank goodness.
right? The questions it does raise about technology, about power, and about our relationship with the natural world, those things, they really continue to resonate in our increasingly complex and interconnected world. It's like HAARP might be debunked, but the anxieties it tapped into are very real.
Yeah, totally. It's a fascinating deep dive, Kevin. I mean, who knew a bunch of antennas in Alaska could spark so much conversation about public trust and climate anxiety? That's pretty wild.
It really is. And that's why we do what we do here on Dark Dive, the strange, hidden, and untold. We love, unraveling these kinds of mysteries and just seeing what's really going on behind the curtains of popular speculation.
Absolutely. So, thank you all so much for joining us on this episode of Dark Dive. It's been an eye opener for sure. Drop your opinions and thoughts in the comments.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And hey, make sure you subscribe to keep an ear out for our next episode, where we'll be delving into another strange, hidden, and untold story. You really won't want to miss it.
We'll see you next time.